All right, awesome. Hey, everybody, Grant here with Cometly. And in today's video, we're going to do a deep dive into how one of the fastest growing D2C e-commerce agencies is currently using Cometly to scale their campaigns and get unbelievable ad results for their e-commerce clients. To help me do this, I'm joined by two special guests from Evestar agency. Evestar, like I just mentioned, they're one of the fastest growing D2C e-commerce agencies in the game right now. Jonathan is a partner and the COO of Evestar, and Ellie is the lead Facebook media buyer. Jonathan and Ellie, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having us. Excited to chat.
Yeah, awesome. So I guess Jonathan or Ellie, for anyone that's not familiar with Evestar, just give them a little bit of who you guys are, what you do. Tell them about the agency.
Sure. So we've been in business for at least, I think, 4 years at this point. Our background is extremely entrepreneurial. We almost fell into e-com and D2C, I want to say almost accidentally, where our background is scaling a $1 billion company in the private aviation world. The CEO, Lolita, is a founder. I was head of growth there. We exited and we just started an agency just to help others kind of, scale appropriately. And at this point, we're fully immersed into the D2C world. We help scale businesses anywhere between, revenues, I would say that go from 40K a month to north of 20 million a month. So there's a pretty big range there. And our team is, just really pursuing sustainable growth. We've got some very exciting growth trajectories for a lot of our clients, small and big. I would say the biggest niche within e-com is, for the most part, fashion, but not to say that we have, technology companies and other verticals that, we're able to really help. So yeah, that's a little bit about us. The thing that I guess, really differentiates us from others is we haven't just ran an agency. We've been in the shoes of, the entrepreneurs that we, deal with. And a lot of times we deal with companies that don't really have a marketing department. A lot of times it's like, it's a founder, they're seeing some nice growth. They're like, hey, we're making $1 million a year. We'd love to get to 2, 3. Can you help us? The answer is yes. So, a little bit about us. And so we're super excited to share a little bit more about the Facebook media buying side of it today.
Yeah, totally. And Jonathan, one of the things I just quickly want to touch on is like, you guys are only 4 years old, right? And the crazy thing is the amount of growth you guys are experiencing is like mind blowing. Where it's like, I feel, in the agency world, there's a lot of agencies that pop up and like, they kind of are here for a little bit and then they're gone or they don't grow as fast, but like you guys are growing rapidly and you've been in the game for 4 years. So just like tell a little bit about, without giving away the secret sauce of Evestar, but like, what is it that you guys do differently that like has helped you guys grow so fast with all the clients that you have now?
Yeah, I think a lot has to do with the way we think. We don't think like an agency. I actually hate the word agency. It has a bad stigma. It's like, okay, you're going to put things on autopilot, forget about me, give me a nice pitch and then disappear. I think we're extremely active. We don't play the agency game. We play the growth game, and that really differentiates ourselves from it. And we have fun doing it. Nothing gets us more excited than seeing a company grow. There's a lot of conversation I have sometimes is, I'm not incentivized for you to spend more if it's not working. I'm incentivized for you to grow so that you stick around. And I think that really resonates. And again, I think the relationships that we have with our clients, because they're so honest and so based on, hey, we've been in your shoes, we understand the pain points, has kind of helped us be in our own little space. We've been around for 4 years. Obviously, there's decade experience prior to that, handling big budgets and high growth. And at this point, someone told me this a few months ago, and it's absolutely correct. Like, you can count agency years and dog years. Like 4 years feels like, times 7. Plenty of experience along the way. And, the game changes so quickly that you really have to be, on your toes constantly. What we were doing 3 months ago is different today, et cetera. So, we have a team that is really always looking to test things, break things, provide, massive guidance to our clients, because we have access to so many other clients that we can say, hey, don't experiment with your own money on this. We know for a fact this works, this doesn't work. So yeah, it's been good. It's been good.
That's awesome. Yeah. And even with, our team at Cometly, when you guys onboard a new client, the client, it's always just such an efficient process with you guys. A lot of the clients are, sort of in different verticals, but the execution you guys have on those clients and the results you're generating, we're like, wow, like, it's awesome. So, but yeah, speaking of Cometly, how long, either Jonathan, you or Ellie would know, but how long have you guys been using Cometly now for your clients roughly?
Ellie will know more than I do on this.
I think roughly about 4 months. I think it was pretty much the start of February, which we started actually testing it on one account, scaled it crazy, and then we started bringing on more accounts because if it works, why not?
Yeah, no, that's awesome. What do you remember as being the main reason you guys did decide to use Cometly, like the very first time you saw it and decided to jump on?
So after iOS 14 and 14.5, there became an attribution problem. There's either delays, over attribution, under attributions, and it's very hard to understand where the sales are actually coming from. I mean, the main issue for media buyers and agencies and everyone is knowing which campaign, which ad gave me the sale. Because if there's one ad that's running and I don't see sales coming from it and I turn it off, but that was actually the ad that brought me the money in, and I'm pretty much sabotaging myself. So we had an issue and we started searching, and that's how we came across to you guys.
Right. Yeah. Now you guys have, man, a ton of clients with us, and it's pretty exciting to see the growth there. Ellie, in terms of you as the media buyer, or, the other members of your team, like how often would you say you guys use Cometly? Like, do you guys have a routine, like when you sort of go about using it, or, for the managing the campaigns?
It's daily. We go there daily to understand exactly how the spend is, which campaigns are performing, which campaigns aren't. Sometimes we adjust daily, sometimes we adjust weekly, but it's pretty much our way to know exactly if the trend is still healthy or some adjustments have to be made. But it's a daily thing, even a few times a day sometimes, because we run big accounts in the agencies. It's not small accounts, it's accounts that have 150K plus in ad spend. So every dollar counts.
Yeah, no, and that's true. And, the data is flying in, the lower budgets, I would say, like, you can get away with checking your ads, maybe once a day, but when you're running, like you guys, you guys have huge clients with big budgets. You got to stay on top of those.
And what's interesting, I'll tell you one thing. We have not really, there's a lot of clients that we're not spending the ways we're now spending through Cometly, right? Like there's, some examples where we were spending, 20,000, 25,000, but because of the visibility and results that were created, all of a sudden you're jumping at like 120, 130,000 a month. So it's pretty incredible how quickly, logically confidence grows from both sides. The media team is like, I know what works and I know what works for a fact. And then the client sees the revenue. And then after that, the conversation becomes, hey, if we can maintain, typically we speak more ROI than ROAS, given, how crazy the attribution world is, but, money in, money out, if we can maintain a 3X, we're okay with the growth. If it goes down to 2.8, if we're spending double what we were spending, that's still okay. So your tool has really helped us, create an environment where it's helping everyone, not just the media buyer. So that's the one thing that I think we're most excited about, beyond obviously you solving a very real problem that Facebook is, unable to solve, mainly because of their own privacy restrictions and whatnot. I think that's, certainly the two areas that have really helped us.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And even prior to using Cometly, like, did you guys have a different system in place, or what did you use or do before, jumping on and using Cometly to scale?
We used a little bit of Triple Whale. I'm sure you're familiar with
Okay.
these guys. By the way, we love Triple Whale as well, mainly more for the dashboard that they provide. We didn't feel that the pixel option that they have was as good as yours. So we kind of picked the best of both worlds a little bit. I didn't feel like they had a really good solution for the media buying component of it as much as you guys have. So selfishly, the first step for us was to solve the media buying. Second, solve the attribution and client dashboard type environment. So yeah, we had a little bit of that, but prior to that, we were kind of like everyone else and just looking at Facebook, like, I hope this is correct. But, ever since they moved into this, I mean, they over project now because they run a bunch of algorithms that say, oh yeah, according to, you know, all these numbers, even though we're flying blind, we could expect 12 purchases when there was 6 or there was 27. Like, so, you know, we had to move away quickly from that. But yeah, I think similar to everyone before, we were happy to find you. I don't even remember how we found you. I
I was
remember
going to
Ellie.
ask that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember. Ellie, do you remember? I mean, I think it was you that brought it to my attention. No, I don't remember. I really
Yeah,
don't remember.
no, I don't remember as well, but
Okay.
we are lucky
Yeah,
that it came to our minds. That's for sure.
yeah.
That's love to hear. Love to hear it. So let's get into the nitty gritty on, you know, on some of your clients. Just overall, how would you say, you know, using Cometly, of course, combined with, you know, your guys, you know, ad and media buying strategies, how has that affected the ad campaigns and the results, you know, you're getting for your clients now?
Yeah,
So
it's created a lot more stability. And Ellie, I'll let you add to it. Because of the visibility we're getting, we're able to not only spend more, but obviously make more because the decision making is completely different. You know, there was some instances, you know, um, to a level of mistake that we didn't control, where sometimes we'd shut off an ad set or a campaign that was showing good metrics on paper on Facebook, but ultimately was again based off, you know, projections of you know, the attribution model that they are running now. So precision brings results faster. So I think it's been day and night. And, you know, Ellie, you can expand on how, you know, we've been kind of using that. But yeah, we went from flying blind to flying with a very reliable, you know, I guess radar in front of us, right? That's how I would look at it. So it's helped.
What are you going to
yeah,
say?
so regarding that, like Jonathan said, pretty much gave us more eyes, a set of eyes to actually understand how things perform, which helps us scale much more because we're much more comfortable coming to a client once we actually understand everything and we see that the results are pretty much aligning together. And that's our way to scale. If it's bigger accounts or if it's accounts like Jonathan said before, 20K account scale to 120 or to 80, and obviously that brings more money to the client as well. And I mean, it's kind of a win-win. That's why we love it. But it definitely gave us a much more a bigger environment, a pretty much visibility of everything, which we were missing. And I think that your product does have this solution that right now people are still searching for. People are still
Right.
trying different agencies, like Jonathan said. But at the end, once you find the solution, you should stick to it. And we are very happy about it. I can elaborate on strategies and everything once it's relevant if you want. So we can
Yeah,
definitely
well,
talk about how we did it.
I was just going to ask, you know, right before we hit record, we were talking about one of your clients in the, you know, in the footwear space that has seen massive growth. So, you know, either Jonathan or Ellie, I'd love for you guys to sort of just kind of open the conversation for that, because it's a very unique business, Jonathan, as you were saying before, and I think that would be really helpful for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably the best example of how, you know, Cometly has helped us kind of turn the business around. I wouldn't go as far as saying turn around, but certainly scale it. I mean, it was doing well. It's doing even better now. The year-over-year growth after I think all-time high year, if I'm not mistaken, last year is 40% so far this year. So, and it's been consistently there. The footwear space is fascinating to me. There's obviously a ton of SKUs for the most part, unless you're, you know, very limited in your own collection. But this is a brand that has, you know, several styles, and the big challenge was Facebook falling in love with one ad, one style, and then having massive unbalanced, you know, inventory on one side, sold out because it's all that Facebook's pushing. On the other side, you know, there's excess inventory because Facebook's not pushing it. So we started rebuilding the way we approached the Facebook setup, you know, with this brand in particular, once we had the visibility that Cometly was able to give. And so what we started doing is, you know, typically campaigns have, you know, very clearly prospecting campaign, retargeting campaigns. We like to simplify, like most people at this point, you know, campaigns where we have maybe 2, maybe 3 campaigns at most. and we go from there. And then on top of that, there's obviously creative testing. But in this instance, we have like 8 or 9 prospecting campaigns, which I would have never entertained in my life without the level of visibility we have. And so we have one campaign almost per SKU, and it's become a little bit of a day trading environment where as we raise the overall daily budget, we're like, okay, lower this 200, increase this 300. This is doing well, this is not doing. If we didn't have Cometly, we would not be able to do that on a Facebook level, because again, we'd be hitting a lot of, you know, fake numbers or over attributed numbers, under attributed numbers. So we're in an environment where we have this dashboard of sorts, right, with you guys, and we're pushing every style appropriately. There's new collections that release. There's best sellers that we know for a fact that are pretty consistent. There's a top 5, 6 that's pretty consistent. But then there's moments with seasonality where things change. So, you know, we're constantly adjusting. It's up and down. It's post sale, we're scaling down, but we're you know, instead of scaling down your spend, right, and just turning everything down, you're like, okay, well, logically these styles are still selling well, so let's not turn this down. Let's stay stable there. So it's become like a super nerdy setup, and something that we're trying on other accounts as well. But that is the perfect example. It's like sometimes everybody talks about simplification. There are instances where that is not always the right solution. And, you know, again, like I can't speak enough about Cometly being able to help us with the guidance, because you can't do this yourself with just Facebook as a tool. You just cannot. You could have done it maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, but at this point, it's just not possible. So, yeah. And again, that setup is the reason why they're up 40%. The shoes, there's been new collections, but the shoes themselves have been more or less the same for the past 3, 4, 5, 6 years. It was just a matter of finding a way for Facebook to give every style a chance, because they do a great job at picking, you know, styles that people like, but you got to put them in front of people as much as you can to get them enticed to buy. So
Fascinating strategy.
yeah.
It honestly is. And it's pretty unique and unusual. Like you say, like, I feel like most media buyers like to keep the strategy simple. And in most cases that might be the smart idea, but in this case, it seems like this is like really working. How, like in terms of ad spend, maintaining a good, you know, ROAS or an ROI, like how much have you been able to scale this client in terms of like daily ad or monthly ad spend, you know, from X to Y?
Yeah, I think in spend, I think we started at late Q3, mid Q3, I think we were at around 50,000 a month. And I think last month we did 180,000, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah. And by the way, you know, a very trustworthy client, after we were able to show that there was daily stability from those efforts. You know, at this point, I would anticipate that we continue scaling upwards. It's a good problem to have, but there's also a lot of inventory constraints because of how crazy the sales have been. So, you know, it's a constant adjustment to how much can we push it ultimately. But yeah, I would anticipate that, you know, we go probably closer to 200,000, 250,000, especially as we enter Q4. I'm sure we'll be in the 250, 300 range. And then, you know, we're looking for a 3, 4x split for the most part on what that gives. And there's a lot of days where we see those healthy splits. And yeah, that's how much we've scaled it so far. And these guys have been around for a while, and they've never seen that level of growth, and we're super excited to support them. So
that's awesome. I guess, Eli, in terms of you being the day-to-day, you know, sort of in the weeds, you know, I think it'd be pretty cool, like if you showed how you sort of optimize like on a daily basis, or maybe gave some tips to anybody watching in terms of like, you know, as you mentioned, like you come in and you scale and you decrease and you turn things on and you turn things off. So just curious from like a professional day-to-day media buyer's perspective, like, you know, how you go about that.
Sure. So first of all, I'll share my screen for us to actually see the platform, understand everything. Can you see the screen?
Yeah, perfect.
So here it's one of our accounts, the one that we scaled about 40% in the past few months. First of all, like Jonathan said, you can see that we have about 8 campaigns right now. That's more of about last month. Each one has its own spend, of course. Some we're spending more, some we're spending less. More of our focus is on prospecting because we really believe in new customers. But pretty much about the way that I optimize and the way that I see is that, first of all, I like to go on a daily level. Once it's after Monday and it's until the end of the week, I like to, let's do yesterday for an example. I like to go see, I see exactly the purchases. I see the CPAs, the gross revenue, the ROAS. The ROAS is very important for us to understand. And I also use Shopify, seeing what were the best sellers that day. That kind of makes me understand, are we trending correctly, or are we spending a bit too much on something that might not be that interesting in this specific day or the day before? So once that happens, just like Jonathan said, it's kind of day trading. I can decrease by a few $100s. I can move to something else that I'm seeing that's doing better. Maybe there's a specific email or a promotion that we're doing for a specific product. So we might move a bit there and shift it there. But at the end, it's pretty much understanding the trend, exactly what's working right now. And I mean, make your winners bigger and cut your losses. That's the game at the end. So that's on a daily level. And on a more micro level, it's usually on a Monday, because after the weekend, we do last 7 days. And we see an overall level of exactly what's performing, how many purchases. And that gives us a bigger kind of, it's more important for us to move bigger budgets. If I see something that didn't perform or gave me a negative ROAS, I might even take a big chunk of it and put up something that's actually performed that week. So that's something that we're definitely doing. And of course, you can see by the many campaigns that we have, the reason that we actually managed to scale so much is we could give each kind of product SKU its own budget and see how Facebook reacts to it. Now, how did I actually understand that Cometly starting to work? I'll get, because I remember I was thinking, I wasn't sure of it. So first of all, the 2-week trial helps us a lot, because it gives us pretty much security. Doesn't work, we'll just move in. So I remember I changed and did different campaigns, and Facebook attribution and ads manager in a certain specific campaign, it actually didn't give me any sales, or give me small sales, but like with very high CPAs. And in a normal environment, I would close that. But Cometly, though, showed me that this campaign is actually performing. So I was like, okay, interesting. Let's keep it a bit more. And within a week, 10 days, that specific product, the one that I wasn't sure about, actually became our bestseller. We found a new bestseller, and it's still our bestseller. It's one of the boots that before that almost didn't get any attribution or any budget spent there. Right now, it's still our bestseller. Wow. So we found another bestseller, which changed everything, because if we thought about other stuff before, we pretty much managed to exactly understand what's selling and what's giving us the best product. So we already
and you know what's interesting, we would have not sold, we would have probably given up on that style and not sold the thousands of pairs that we now sell every month. Like it's pretty crazy how it could have been completely different. We could have said, you know, and we have these weekly conversations with clients too, because some of this is also having conversation with the clients saying, hey, I know you have more inventory here, but here's why I'm not pushing it. It's costing us a lot more to acquire that customer. And I know you have the inventory, but it's costing us twice the amount to get a new customer. I'd rather you send an email about this style so that it doesn't cost us money to advertise and to acquire. Because the game has become, in many ways, it's not just ROAS. It's your CPA, right? How much is it costing me to acquire a new customer? And you know, hopefully that customer comes back 2-3 times this year. We saw that a little bit of Memorial Day. We had a big sale. A lot of people came back there. There's July 4th that's coming up soon. And after that, in Q4, obviously, it's going to be Black Friday, and that's going to be crazy. So the more first-time customer I acquire along the way, the better that Q4 is going to be. And Q4 should be 30-50% of your revenue if you do it right. So there's a lot of that's happening. So, you know, again, commonly is the visibility, the buying, but there's also a lot of conversation with these decision makers. You know, that's a very, by the way, important collaboration, because media buys by themselves, you know, would be able to go to Shopify, look at inventory, look at, you know, the momentum of actual sales, things like that. But it is truly a partnership with clients to understand, okay, I'm not going to be able to restock this, or we can sell this on pre-order because I'm getting a restock in 2 weeks. There's just a lot of things that, you know, commonly become the source of truth in between those conversations. So it's been extremely helpful, and the numbers speak for themselves. Like I said, 40% growth year over year. I don't see that on a lot of accounts. There's a lot of, you know, a lot of clients are up, but they're not up to the tune of 40, 50, 60%. I've got a few of those. But obviously, given how big of a pandemic boom a lot of these e-com stores had, you know, most of them have 15, 20, 25%, 30% growth. So it's been exciting for these guys.
That's awesome. That's great to hear, guys. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for the client. The client must be just so pumped and over the
Yeah.
moon.
Yeah.
You know, it's like when you can scale up the spend that high and maintain the ROAS and the profit, it's like, oh man, that's incredible. So that's great to hear. Just from a day-to-day perspective, either Jonathan or Ellie, I'm just curious, like what you think the most useful or what your favorite sort of feature or part of using Cometly is. This is more just for me in a curiosity situation.
So first of all, I'll answer that. First of all, the UI UX experience is very nice. I mean, I love going in because I've used other stuff as well, but this one is very close to, it was Facebook, first of all, in a nice way. You can see everything super simple. The fact that we can actually change budgets within the platform is much easier because we don't have to jump between each platform. Because I mean, if I use Cometly as the sense of kind of knowing exactly where sales are coming from, I pretty much want to stay there. There's no reason to go to the ads manager. So that's something I like, because in other platforms that we tested before, you have to go to the ads manager and the pixel isn't that accurate. So it's, at the end, it's a waste of time. I mean, we want to be much more efficient. So I'm loving that we have that, and we can see the breakdowns, and we can see exactly how the specific days are performing as well, which days are stronger, which days are weaker historically, which also kind of makes us understand, maybe on that day I'll spend a bit less, and maybe I'll scale a bit more on the other day. So it gives a very nice view of pretty much everything. So yeah, I'm happy about it.
It's awesome.
It's good.
Yeah, no, that's great. And then in terms of just like media buying in general, or just the way that Evestar does things, either, you know, Jonathan or Ellie, you know, what do you think? Like there's a lot of businesses out there. There's a lot of Cometly users maybe that have said, oh man, I tried this agency in the past and like, they just didn't really do things good for me or whatever. I guess really, you know, once again, seeing the insane success that Evestar gets for their clients. And like, you know, even we see it with all, you know, all the clients you guys have on Cometly, we're like, oh my God, these guys are absolutely crushing it for their clients. Like, you know, if you were speaking to one of these Cometly users, they were like, oh, should I try another agency or not? Like, you know, what do you really think it is, you know, what makes it different with what you guys do? And essentially why, you know, should they give you guys a shot?
You know, I think the first of all, we have a lot of conversation where people say, you guys would be my fourth agency. I'm so tired of jumping. Like you promised us the world and then nothing happens. So I think the biggest difference is we back it up. We back it up, and we back it up quickly. We don't pull the game of like, I'm going to need 6 months to figure this out for you. I mean, you know, typically we move very quickly, right? You start working with us. Within a couple of weeks, you should start seeing things, right? So I think it's the urgency, the entrepreneurial background, again, that is in many ways anti-agency, and the ability for us to go very deep in strategy. And you know, we don't look at it as, okay, we're just going to buy their media, going to send a few emails, we'll make the design look okay. Like we really pay attention to a lot of things. And I think ultimately, you know, a lot of our clients are on Shopify, to no surprise. That is, you know, definitely one of the tech stacks that we prefer. And we're probably in there as often as they are. Like, you know, it's a little bit of an addiction. We want to see things click. And, you know, the other side of it too is these agencies love to try and lock you in 90-day contracts. We're month to month. We're not trying to hold you hostage. If it doesn't work, doesn't work. You know, we have, you know, really, really good, you know, loyalty in terms of the clients that stay with us. But there's always the occasional one where it doesn't click. Maybe the product isn't a good fit based on the skills that we have to offer, things like that. And we try to make it as painless as possible for people to just say, hey, it's not working out. You know, it sounded good, but it doesn't sound like it's clicking. And that's fine. These things happen. So you know, we're really excited to be in an environment where we help the businesses that come to us. And there's some incredible, you know, case studies that we have in several verticals. A lot of it is in fashion, like I said. Women's fashion is probably the biggest one. Tech is another one. We just spoke about footwear. That's, I guess, tied to fashion to some degree. You know, some lead gen there and there. But yeah, if you have a good product and you've tried agencies, still have agency, just put an intern in there and put or automate a lot of the system. Of course, you're not going to get great results, right? So, you know, the people on our team have seen enough to help you solve a lot of these roadblocks that you get. A lot of times people say, hey, we tried scaling it and the results went downhill because we just can't seem to scale. We know a thing or two about doing that. That is probably the biggest pain point that we remove once we, kind of take over the marketing and figure things out.
Yeah, that's huge. And for everybody watching, of course, at Cometly, we have a lot of agencies that they use the platform. And we have a lot of agencies that they'll bring a client onto Cometly, and then either a month later, it's like, oh, that one's off. And it's like, oh, I wonder why it's off. The client's gone. But I can say in full honesty, Evestar here, it's new client, new client, new client, new client, new client. They're not leaving.
Yeah. And we're requiring Cometly on most of these, by the way. That's like part of our conversation on day one. Say, hey, give us access to everything. And oh, by the way, we're going to need a Cometly subscription. So go see these guys. So, and we don't do it just to sell it. Obviously, we do it because without that level of visibility, the chances are that we won't do as well. So why not give yourself, added visibility like that? So yeah, I don't think anyone's dropped off after coming.
I bit my tongue because I didn't check with the team.
No, I don't think so. I don't think
so. And it's been a decent amount of time, and it's so cool to see you guys bring somebody on, and then our team will monitor it and work with Eli just to make sure everything's good. But it's like you guys will start the spend, and then it just goes up and to the right, and the results are unbelievable. So it's pretty cool. It's exciting. Okay, awesome. So yeah, I really appreciate Jonathan and Eli, you guys joining me today. This was it was great to learn about Evestar. For everybody watching, if you guys are currently using Cometly, and as I mentioned, Cometly will give you the visibility. It'll help you with your tracking. It'll help you with all that. But if your ads are not getting results, it's probably because you need somebody like Jonathan and Eli on your team helping you strategize. So if you guys would like to learn more about Evestar, go ahead and click the button below. That will bring you directly to Evestar's website. You'll be able to fill out a form, speak with them, see if it's a good fit for both sides. And also for anybody watching this, if you don't have a Cometly account, you can go ahead and also click the button for Cometly below and go ahead and get yourself set up on a free trial. But once again, gentlemen, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. This has been great.
Thanks, Grant. It's great to speak with you, and we'll do this more often.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. Take care.